We're looking at how Queen students bring a taste of home to campus. Join features editor Suzy Leinster as she talks us through a recipe that reminds her of home and her family. You'll also get to hear from other students who share their favorite foods to connect them with their family and culture.
Hello everyone, my name is Suzy and I'm one of the features editors for the Queen's Journal, and today we'll be making Yorkshire puddings. Now Yorkshire puddings are important for my family and my little taste of home because my family is Irish and English, and so we would have a lot of Sunday dinners, and you have like a roast beef, you have a little salad, and then of course you have a yummy Yorkshire pudding. So the main ingredients are milk. You kind of want whole milk. Here we have 2% because that's all they had in the grocery store. You have just some basic flour, and then you also have 4 eggs. I'll whisk that up. Our little wet mixture, you want to get it all combined before you add in any of your dry ingredients. I learned that from my aunt. Funnily enough, my aunt was actually the chef in our family, not my grandma. My grandma was kind of like my mom, and she was, she cooked, but it wasn't like, I'm a chef. My aunt used to own a bakery, so she knew a bit about, the cooking life. And then here I'll be adding the flour. You might want to add it as you whisk it so it's not all in one go. And also, the point of a Yorkshire pudding is that it's fluffy and it's airy, so you want a lot of whisking involved. I wouldn't necessarily do this with like a spoon because then you won't get the amount of air pockets and air bubbles you want in the food itself.
I would say that the food that I love to look for in Kingston is probably Korean fried chicken at any of the Korean restaurants in Kingston. It really reminds me of when I would get home and sit with my family members, eat Korean fried chicken. My friends and I get it a lot, and it always just serves that connection to my home.
Welcome back. The next thing that I'll be making for my little taste of home is Caesar salad. Now you might think I could get that anywhere, and you can, but I am going to be making a homemade dressing. But here we have 2 egg yolks, 2 minced garlic, and I also have about 3 anchovies that I've also minced. You add about a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half of lemon juice. And you want about a quarter of a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, depending on your flavor preferences. I like a little bit more because my family's really big into Caesars. If you know how to make a Caesar, then you'll get what I'm referencing. And then you have also about a teaspoon of Dijon mustard here. Give it a little whisk right here. But here you go. Caesar salad dressing, homemade. Easy peasy.
One food that I love to make that reminds me of my culture, which is Filipino, is longanisa. So that is Filipino sausage. Typically it's sweet sausage, but you can also get a spicy version. And it's actually a breakfast food, but you make it with white rice and then you put an egg on top, and it is literally the best meal ever. It's so good.
Yeah, my favorite food from home is probably smoked salmon, specifically sockeye. When you smoke it in a smokehouse, traditionally with cedar wood, it is amazing, and then perfectly marinated, and then that with a side of bannock is just
Now that we've waited a few minutes, I'm going to put the Yorkshire pudding pan into the oven for about 10 minutes, let the butter boil. And the reason why we're doing this is so that the Yorkshires can get really fluffy on the inside, but they get a little crispy on the outside. And you'll kind of want to do this in advance to make sure that you have enough time to have the batter be poured in. But the oven's set at 450. Here we go, the middle rack, and I'll check in on it in about 10 minutes. So now we're doing the Caesar salad. Now I know I like Caesar kale because they're little health nuts. So they have romaine in a mix of lettuces. So here, I got about half of my kale in this bowl here, and then the other half will be romaine. Now, one of the things I was told when I was younger is that if you want a really good romaine salad, you should tear it. I'm not sure why the tearing is better. I think it has something to do with the structure of the leaves and everything. Here we go, our lettuce. And then the next step that I will have is our croutons. They're homemade croutons. I just got a little sourdough brioche bread. I melted about 2 tablespoons of butter and put a little bit of a garlic clove in there. Just toss it up. Make sure it's all coated because you want to have a little bit of a crispy bun. And it just tastes better that way.
My background's Ethiopian, and the national dish of Ethiopia is this food called injera. My mom set me up with a bunch of injera and a bunch of spices, so I really like to try to replicate as best I can some of the dishes that she makes.
I'd say the dish that gives me a taste of home is Jamaican patties because I'm half Jamaican, so these are just really delicious, kind of almost like a pastry, food filled with meat inside and like vegetables, which is really delicious, and it honestly reminds me of home, and it's like a comfort food for me.
Hello everyone, welcome back. So I put the pan in the oven, I took it out, and so it was sizzling butter, but you can see it was kind of foaming. You want that foaming consistency. I just poured the batter in because you want to do it pretty immediately. But we have about 11 tins of Yorkshire. They're gonna go in for about 15 minutes. But now we have our Caesar salad. So this is our mix of kale and romaine lettuce. I'm gonna put our salad dressing on here. And we also took our croutons out of the oven. See how they're crispy and golden brown? This is the kind of texture and the coloring you want. Get your tongs and just kind of get it in there. Mix it all up.
When it comes to a comfort meal that brings me close to home, to Tamil culture and my parents, I would say I love to make samosas. They're time consuming, but it really reminds me of my childhood and baking and cooking with my family.
Something that reminds me of home is definitely going to be, it's what's called pal coffee, or just coffee with milk, and it's a special way of making coffee, and it's something that my dad would make every morning, or even my grandparents in India, and I make that like almost every morning.
So here I just pulled the Yorkshires out of the oven, and as you can see, they are fluffed up, and that's what you want to see. A lot of salad, and then here we go, Yorkshire pudding. Now, normally for Yorkshire pudding, you have a roast. So my family does a roast beef. They also do maybe a roast ham, and from that you have gravy. So that's kind of, you see the hole in the center here? Usually you put a little bit of gravy in the middle of that, and it tastes divine. Here we go, a Yorkshire pudding and Caesar salad combination.
Thank you to everyone who shared the foods that connect them to their home, family, and culture. Share the foods that bring you a taste of home in the comments.